hand, just as the Catholics and the Protestants fought each other in 300 years of wars of Reformation.
Yeah.
And praise God, it's over. I'm a Jew. I love Catholics. I love Protestants. I love everyone. And I'm glad that they're not killing each other. Now, the war in Syria is a war between Shiites and Sunnis. They're both Muslims. They hate each other. They've been killing each other for 1,400 years. And this killing and slaughter of Sunnis and Shiites of each other makes the Catholic-Protestant wars of Reformation of 300 years look like a Sunday school picnic. This is a horrible war. And it's happening not only in Syria, it's happening in Lebanon, it's happening in Iraq. It's going to happen pretty soon in Turkey and Iran, because these countries are all made up of many, many disparate minorities that all hate each other. You have Shiites, and you have Sunnis, and you have Kurds, and you have all these different groups. This is a war that the Russians are supporting the Shiites.
Yes.
So are the Chinese. And the Americans and the West are supporting the Sunnis. And we will get to that in a moment. But what I wanted to say is the following. There are three levels to the situation in Syria. Level number one to the situation in Syria is, of course, the horrible gassing and killing of innocent civilians, children and women. People have nothing to do with any of the fighting. The complete demolition of entire neighborhoods by artillery and by aircraft and gas shells. And today, by the way, after Obama's speech, and Obama's speech a few nights ago was actually a very nice speech, very well written. And today the Syrians are again firing poison gas, saying, hey, these Americans chickened out, they're not going to do anything. Let's go ahead and keep gassing. So that's Syria. That's the horrible humanitarian crisis that's happening there. The second level that we should look at is Israel and Iran. And I think this is something much more serious than we see on the surface. This is under the surface. The world is very, very concerned. Not only Israel and America, the world is very, very concerned. The Iranians are not interested just in making one bomb, saying, hey, we have one bomb. The Iranians want to make dozens of nuclear bombs. These nuclear bombs can then be fired at Europe. They have missiles that can hit Europe. They have missiles that can hit American bases. And with pretty good accuracy, by the way. And so I personally think that the strategy of America and Israel here are to basically create a situation in which Israel will then get a green light to take out the Iranian nuclear project. And there are things that the Israeli and the American militaries were, by the way, totally coordinated with each other. They could do to terminate the Iranian nuclear threat. The problem here is the Russian and the Chinese. This brings us to the third level, which is World War. And one of the things that people don't remember is that World War I was started by one bullet which killed the Austrian Archduke Ferdinand by a Serbian nationalist.
So essentially, what you're saying, and I don't mean to interrupt you, I just had the door open in my head, and a thought escaped, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. Essentially, World War could have been started by Barney Fife from Andy Crimpet's show, because it was started with one bullet.
Yes, in other words,
yeah.
you can start a war. You don't know how it's going to end.
Yeah, and that's one of the big reasons I wanted to have you on today, was to discuss this situation in Syria. It seems to me that the United States really, really wants to go over there. This is something that President Obama and John Kerry really want to go over there and do. And there's a lot of people, and in fact, I believe there was a poll recently that maybe 9% of the country supported this. What are you hearing from some of your sources and some of the people that talk to you on a regular basis?
Okay. I imagine, I'm going to ask you a rhetorical question, which I know you know the answer to is,
okay,
follow the money trail. What's the money trail? The money trail is the Sunnis, the Saudis are partners. They're taking over America, but at this stage, they're only partners. You're going to do what the Saudis tell you to do, because they provide you with their oil at exorbitant prices. They take away your money, and then they have nothing to do with your money because they have just so many beds under which they can put their money, in the mattress. The money has to come back to the States and get reinvested in the States. So this is a winner-win for the Saudis. This is a winner-win for the American economy. Remember Bill Clinton? He used to have a sign over the Oval Office desk, "Hey, it's the economy, stupid."
Yep.
If it's the economy, then it's the Saudis. You got to do what the Saudis say. Now, the Shiites, the Iranians, are much more hostile to America. America went in to free the people of Iraq from Saddam Hussein, and what they basically did was the American troops who gave their lives, American troops who shed their blood, lost limbs, arms and limbs, have created a second Iran. Iraq today is a second Iran. It's Shiite, it's fanatic, it hates America. Iran and Iraq, Iraq kind of like is between a rock and a hard place because they kind of like to have the Americans still sitting on top of them. But the Shiites in Iraq are allied with Iran. The Shiites of Iraq are sending their terrorists into Syria to kill the Sunnis. The Sunni Iraqis are sending their Al-Qaeda terrorists into Syria to kill the Shiites. Like I said before, this war is a mess. This is the continuation of 1,400 years of bloodletting. And so the point I'm saying is the Sunnis, I'm not talking about the Al-Qaeda, because the Al-Qaeda hate America and they're Sunni, but what they call the moderates. I say moderate my foot. They're not moderates. But their plan is not to destroy America in 9/11 attacks. Their plan is to destroy Christian America by bringing in tens of millions of Muslims, which is going to happen very soon because the Arab countries are collapsing one after another. The economies of these Arab Spring countries are all collapsing. When the economies collapse, the people starve. When they starve, they leave. They come to America.
Yep.
So you're going to have 50 million Muslims coming into this country very soon. The Saudis are going to have to build 50 million homes. You're going to have a tremendous housing boom in this country. The dollar is never going to collapse as long as you're working with the Saudis. And so those people for whom the economy is the only thing that interests them, there is no God, there is no Bible, there is no Jesus Christ, there's nothing, it's just money. For those people, they're going to work with the Saudis. And so the Americans and the Europeans back the Saudis. The Russians, who hate the Sunni Arabs and Muslims, because who are they fighting? They're fighting the Chechens. They're fighting the Tatars. They're fighting the Turks. They're fighting all these Turkish groups inside of Russia who are Sunni Muslims. And so the Putin and the Russians justifiably are backing the Shiites, who they hate maybe a little less.
We've got Avi Lipkin with us today here on the broadcast. Israeli, Mideast, and terrorism expert. He's the author, speaker, and co-founder of Israel Today magazine. He served 30 years in the Israeli Defense Forces, the IDF Reserves, 16 years in the IDF Artillery Reserves, and 14 years as an IDF spokesman. There's a lot of people in the U.S. talking about this Syria situation. What are you hearing from some of your sources overseas regarding this situation?
Well, like I said before, the second level of the war, the first level is the civil war itself and the humanitarian crisis that Syria is causing. The second level is, will Israel be hit by biological and chemical weapons by Hezbollah in Lebanon, by the Syrians, and by the Iranians? Like if America launches Tomahawk missiles into Syria, will they retaliate by attacking Israel with biological chemical weapons? Of course, this is something we're very concerned about. But like I said before, if Israel does get attacked, or if Israel has a justification for attacking, then you're going to see the end of the Iranian nuclear project. And this is something I think that the American military is kind of like relying on Israel to do it, because the American military is marching with the Israeli military, but the American military has all these new constraints on it, and the American military has been basically castrated, and not only by Obama, but by the governments before Obama's government. And forgive me for saying it, but George Herbert Walker Bush, after Desert Storm, was cutting down military base after military base, shutting it down. This process of I hate to use the word castration, but the shrinking of America's military might started with George Herbert Walker Bush, and then it continued with Clinton and George W. And Obama's continuing with a relish to bring the military down, which is horrible.
Avi Lipkin with us today here on the program. I'll tell you, I love your insight. I'm glad we were able to get you on today. I know that you are very, very busy. Avi has been a keynote speaker in hundreds of churches and synagogues across the U.S., Canada, Mexico, the UK, Switzerland, France, Greece, Norway, Finland, Russia, Germany, Belgium, Holland, and Israel. You have some frequent flyer miles, my friend.
I also have a 3-year jail sentence in Switzerland.
Why do you have a 3-year jail sentence in Switzerland?
Well, I was.
I'm talking to a convict on the phone, everybody.
Yes, I'm proud. I'm proud of it. A lot of Christians have me in their churches because of that now.
That's awesome,
The Muslims wanted to put up minarets in Switzerland. You know what a minaret is? It's those skinny spires, those towers, with loudspeakers. 4:30 in the morning. Allahu Akbar. When you hear that, if you're within 2-3 miles radius, you're not going to go back to sleep at 4:30 in the morning. A lot of people, they just go ahead and they sell their homes and they leave. And then of course the Muslims buy the homes and the area becomes a ghetto. So I was invited to Switzerland in 2009. I spoke in 23 German-speaking cities in Switzerland, and I warned the Swiss of the after effects of allowing these minarets to be built alongside the mosques. And 57.5% of the Swiss people voted down the minarets, and praise God, I played a role in the Christian victory of Switzerland over Islam. I think it's another nail in the coffin of Islam, and I could talk for hours about that. But the bottom line is the Muslims took me to court for hate speech because I was saying Allah is not God. Allah is Satan, Lucifer, the devil. And because everybody says Allah and God are the same, and they're not. They're the opposites. And secondly, I said Islam is not a religion, but a criminal psychosis. So yes, you have a convicted criminal convicted of hate speech, and I'm proud I'd do it again.
Well, I'll tell you, you're a world traveler. You've been on all the different U.S. talk shows, including Sean Hannity and Fox and Friends. And you have been all over the place. We've got Avi Lipkin with us today here on the program, joining us to talk about Syria. What do you think is going to happen over the rest of the week into the new week?
Well, I don't know what is going to happen. There's talk. I'm a Jew, but I love to quote the New Testament too sometimes, and it says, nobody knows the time of the coming of the Lord, and nobody knows the time of the wars and the rumors of wars. And we were all sure in Israel a week ago that Obama was going to attack, and then all of a sudden it turns out he cut a deal with Putin in Moscow, and there was absolutely no intention of attacking. And then he said, well, you know what, we're going to now give the UN inspectors time to review the hair of the victims of the sarin attacks and other things. And the UN inspector said it's the Bashar al-Assad government that did it. Do the rebels also fire biological and chemical weapons? Probably yes. There are no good guys in this war. And so the question is there has to be another reason more than the humanitarian crisis in Syria for the U.S. to send Tomahawk missiles into targets in Syria. And like I said before, it either is to give Israel the green light to take out the nuclear program in Iran, which has to be taken out, or the Saudis, who are the paymasters here, are saying, and my wife has picked this up in Arabic broadcasts, my wife is a monitor in the Arabic language, and they say in Arabic, America's going to be our mercenary. The Americans are going to lose their boys and girls, they're going to lose their arms and their lives, and we're going to pay them a lot of money to buoy up the American economy. The American economy is going to take off like you're not going to believe because the Saudis are behind it. The Saudis are backing. The Saudis are going to take over the country.
Wow. That is just simply crazy to think that is potentially going to happen. But Avi Lipkin's our guest today, and he backs up all other claims from people like IQ Al-Razuli and others who have been on this program this week who have said that is pretty much what's going to happen. Avi, I appreciate you making time for us today. Thanks for being on. Is there a website or anything we can direct people to get more information on you?
Absolutely. I also have an 800 number for my 6 books. But the website has the books, CDs, and DVDs. The 800 number is only for books. So the 800 number is 1-800-540-0828, 1-800-540-0828. And the website where you can get also books, also CDs, also DVDs is www.vicmord.com. Vic, like victory, V-I-C. And the other half is Mordecai, M-O-R-D. VICMORD.com. And I don't know if you heard of Chuck Mister and Koinonia House, but a lot of my CDs and DVDs are produced in that Christian ministry. So I'm kosher for Christians.
Well, good stuff, my friend. Thanks for being on with us today.
God bless you, and God save America.
Definitely. Have yourself a wonderful day, Avi. Thank you, sir.
You too. Blessings.
Avi Lipkin with us today here on the program. We are going to take a quick little time out here. And when we come back, we will chat with Mr. Shannon Rose from the Hollywood Rose Report. Yes. I cannot wait to get Shannon's view